requires so much left hand, it's really amazing. And the more you give into it, you know, the more you put into it, the more you squeeze, the more it just sort of comes alive, and then you start turning around and adjusting your amp or your pedals a different way, and you go, wow, this is something, this is really cool. And it's so different, though, from the other kinds of things that I do, at least, you know, in a nice performance, where suddenly I've got to turn that whole thing off and do a whole different kind of left hand stuff, which brings in this next song. This next song brings back this whole idea of pitch axis, but it's sort of a reverse pitch axis thing, so you got to bear with me as I describe it. So the pitch axis idea is you're changing keys, but you're keeping the perceived bass note or the harmonic groove that the audience is hearing as being just in one tonal center, right? The reverse of that, I thought, might be where you don't take away the idea that this song is in one key, the melody is in one key. So as a listener, you really get drawn into what the melody is doing as opposed to some unusual chordal thing or harmonic thing, right? So that meant when I was writing the song, I thought, okay, that means I've got to be really clever with how I construct the melody. I've got to edit it down to its barest possible form. So it really does sound like a beautiful melody that you could sing, and it's got to somehow wander through the different keys that get thrown on top of it, but act like it doesn't care, like it's not being phased out by this changing key thing. And then on the other side of it, the way I got that to happen on the rhythm side was, I thought, well, one way to make it work would be to use a chord voicing that doesn't change at all. And instead of having, you know, usually you have voicings that are changing all over the guitar, but I thought, well, maybe if I work with an open tuning or something unusual, a slide, I don't know, something so that the same thing happens when I go to these different keys. Anyway, I wound up using, when I started out, an open G tuning. Eventually I dropped it down to an open F tuning, and I can't really play the voicing for you, but it's sort of like something like that, how it sounds eventually when you have that open tune guitar. And I thought, well, maybe if I do that voicing the same way all over the guitar, and then that way the rhythm guitar never really, not only does it never change the voicing, and not only is it changing the key of the song each time it goes to the new chord, in which case I had arrived at C and then A flat and G and F. But the other thing that can happen is I can start to take away, and this is a really weird concept, but subtract all sorts of style and let's say nods and winks to different what would you call them, stylistic idiosyncrasies that we really use to tell people what style of music we're playing. In other words, I'm subtracting almost stylistic vibe from the performance of the rhythm section. I'm giving the bass note